This is the Toy Dolls. 45 years of
45 RPM.
Right, Olga, we're back to 1982 again now.
Mm-hmm.
And after your dalliance with EMI, you landed a deal with the Northeast-based record company Volume Records,
Yep.
run by Andy Worrell and Don Phoebe.
Correct.
Can you explain how this offer came about in the first place?
I knew they had a record label because they released records for Total Chaos, the Northeast Total Chaos, not the American lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went round one day and just waited in the queue to be served, to like people being served and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just says, I'm looking for a record deal. And he says, who are you? And I says, I'm the local band, the Toy Dolls. And he says, well, just have a word upstairs. So I went upstairs and he said, Don said, yeah, what do you want? I says, I'd like to do a single. So I've got an idea for a single. And he says, all right, let's go with it. So it wasn't any talk about doing albums or anything like that yet.
Uh-huh.
But he said, yes. I mean, before then, I went down to Red Rhino Records in York and almost begged them to release something. And they said they weren't interested, you know.
To their regret. Their eternal
I'm not
regret.
sure about that. But Volume just says, yes, let's go for it. So
if only the things were that easy these days.
Yeah, and I said, I've got the idea for it. Now, the song that I wanted to do was a cover version, the Nellie the Elephant thing. They said, yeah, fine, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And I told them what I wanted on the sleeve, and I wanted to record it at Guardian. It's like EMI said, no, you're recording there with their producer. And he says, do what you like. You know, it was just this freedom of being able to do exactly the way you wanted to do it. You know,
walk into a record shop and get a deal.
That was it.
I used to go into Volume a lot just to buy me records, you know, and then little did I know that you could also walk in and say, give me a record deal. And
it worked for me.
Yeah. It must have been more comfortable not to have to go down to London for meetings and recording sessions and be based purely in the Northeast. Or have you experienced a big record company? Was there anything you missed by working in the Northeast, or was it all positive, really?
It was all positive.
All positive.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is with EMI, there's so many people work there, you know, the guys that work in Volume is just two of them. Yeah. You know, so I call and that's the guy I'm talking to on the end of the phone. Yeah. I don't need to speak to that department or this department. He's there on the end of the phone. So, yeah, it's much better. Yeah.
So that was, you've hinted at the artistic freedom. Volume were very good.
That was
just
the main thing.
Letting you do your own
Definitely.
thing, really.
Yeah.
And budget-wise, I'm hesitant to ask about figures, but they covered everything you needed, and
we didn't get an advance of money or anything like that, but I didn't really care. It was just to, give them the chance to record and record it how I wanted it, and we wanted to sound and where we wanted to record. Nobody telling you to change your voice and the guitar sound and that.
Much more relaxed, sort of.
Totally.
Yeah. And the choice of single itself, Nellie, was. It's quite an interesting song. Obviously, it's an old 1950s, I think, song, is it? Or
I think it is, Mandy Miller, yeah.
But you got the build-up to the chorus, the whoa thing. It was sort of watching Rod, Jane and Freddie, wasn't it?
It was
Nellie the Pink.
Well, originally I saw the... it was copied off the Scaffold, really. Yeah. We'll drink a drink. That's the whoa thing.
You can't say copied, Olga. It was... artistically improvised.
I had that idea for quite a few years, and I was just looking around for the right song. And then there was a program called Handful of Songs, which came on the television, and they sang this song called Nellie the Elephant. I thought, the woo thing might fit with that one.
Fit,
and a week or two later, me, Flip and Happy Bob were playing it around the clubs that we were doing, and there was people
going down well,
really well. And I thought that's the song I want to do.
And however much you may or may not like the song, it still gets people going right across the world, doesn't it? And jumping up and down.
Yeah.
There was an initial run of 5,000 copies for this single, which was bigger than you were used to in the early days.
Yeah.
And one thing I was interested in, it reached number 16 in the independent singles chart.
Yeah.
And I wondered about your memories of the importance of that chart then, as opposed to the main singles chart. The independent chart was something people set a lot of store by then.
Yeah, this was much more important to us because it was in Sounds magazine, which is the magazine everybody got. And to be in there with like the Cockney Rejects and Cron Jane and UK Subs and all this kind of thing. It's a special thing to to us rather than being in the national charts.
Which we'll come on to later in
discussion. But yeah, it sold 5,000 and then we didn't press anymore.
So it's a bit of a hard to come by article, the original.
Yeah, you can get them. But we stopped pressing them then because the people at Volume and myself thought maybe let's release it at a later date. And we changed a few things with it. And we thought it might be possible that could be an actual real hit single in the national charts. So
yeah. And was there support from Volume to, I know there's two guys working, did they promote the single very much? Did it get much radio play locally?
Yeah, they did. And they paid for adverts and that and the sounds and different things like
That's good, yeah. You must have felt a bit relieved that you weren't having to... We mentioned in an earlier discussion about you multitasking and doing everything yourself. You must have felt that some of that had been taken away.
Oh, yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, I mean, all the ideas that they used, I mean, they asked me first anyway, but they went ahead with it and all the designs and for the adverts and things.
Yeah. And you've said various times over the years, probably more than various, you've said all the time, that you prefer in some ways the 1982 version of Nellie, this one, to the one we'll talk about at a later date, which is the 84 one.
Yeah.
What is it about the 1982 version that makes more sense for you?
It's a better tempo.
It's interesting for the fans to know.
It's definitely a better tempo. And compared to the 84 version, the first verse is too fast. We didn't use the click track at the time. The first verse is a little bit too fast, then it slows down. But the tempo of the 82 version is definitely more ploddy and it's just thicker and better for me.
Yeah,
I think. I think that's it. Really, the tempo of it.
And was that perhaps a more general question? People might be interested in the planning of a song.
Yeah.
Right? If you approach a recording session and you have in mind, particularly what you might call arrangement or organisation of a recording, did you have much in mind for? Did you have? I'll plot it.
Yeah, I mean, we've done loads of rehearsals beforehand. We knew exactly what we were doing with that. And we asked Terry, well, how about the speed of this? And then he says, this seems like the correct speed because your heart beats to the speed of the song, you know, and it seemed absolutely perfect then. I'd still rather listen to that one. I mean, the later one, there was a key change in the later one, which made it better in that aspect. But apart from that, I think the tempo was better.
Yeah. I think many years, probably 30 or 40 years later, it was recommended as one of the songs for when you're giving people CPR.
That's right. I still get messages about this. Yeah,
I think it was one of the Bee Gees songs was also recommended.
All right.
You won't often hear the Toy Dolls and the Bee Gees mentioned in the same sentence, but
not usually.
No, but there you go. That's one such occasion. There was a fairly important B-side on this, which was "Dig That Groove, Baby."
Right.
It was destined the following spring to be the title track to your first album.
Yeah.
And it's a delicious slice of Sunland nightlife at the time.
Yeah.
What was it about groove diggers in towny nightclubs that annoyed you?
Well, they all wore belts which were a mile too long. But I've done it with the hand. I don't think you remember or not, but they go like this.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you had one.
I didn't have one.
Right.
Make it clear on record. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Well, it's just that whole thing to do with disco. I mean, I cannot stand it. That dunce. I don't mind any kind of music, classical, jazz, anything, rock, punk, apart from disco music. That is, I'll just not entertain it at all.
And there's quite a divide in Sunland, not just in Sunland, but everywhere, I suppose, of what people call townies or groove diggers versus the more introspective punk types who
I mean, you've got all these towny people who went to Annabelle's and places like this. And
Finos.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Right. And then the other people who went to see the Upstarts and that at the Old 29.
Yeah.
And places like that. It was divided like that.
Did you sense any tension, any sort of aggro between the two factions in the town?
No, not really aggro as such. No, but it's just that
it's a bit of niggle.
Yeah, I mean, we played at Le Metro, which is a little gig not far from the Old 29. We put a notice on the door saying no groove diggers allowed, you know. Right. But I mean, it was nearly all punks then anyway.
Of course, yeah. A last question about this version of Nellie, Olga. Some bands or artists can get fed up with playing a song every gig, for 10, 20, or in this case, 45 years. But Nellie creates such a brilliant atmosphere in the crowds at every gig across the world, in particular abroad. So you must feel kind of obliged to play it every time.
Feel
How
obliged,
do you feel
but
about that?
well, I mean, yeah, we do feel obliged, but I mean, we want to do it anyway. As soon as we don't like playing it, we probably will stop playing. We didn't play it once in Italy a long time ago, but then we brought it back in.
Yeah.
I think no, we enjoy playing it. You know, we used to play it back in the early days, and then after it was hit as well. So if we get sick of playing it, we'll just stop.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for telling me about
Thanks,
Nellie the Elephant.
Ronan.